We're back, Real Talk Twin Cities, on our new time, Saturdays at 4 on AM 1280 The Patriot. I'm Eric Purius with Bell Mortgage, along with Cheryl Kempenick, Coldwell Banker Burnett. Hi Cheryl, welcome back.
Thanks, Eric.
We just heard from David Kingsbury of Kingsbury Law Offices. You can reach out to him at bankruptcylawofficemn.com for a consultation on the potentials of filing for bankruptcy consequences. He's a very knowledgeable, trustworthy source. You can also reach out to him at realtalktwincities.com. And coming up in this segment, some of it is bankruptcy related. We're going to talk about contract for deeds. What are they? When are they useful? Getting a mortgage after a foreclosure or a bankruptcy. I'll have details for you there. Myth versus reality. Selling high and selling fast. Also, I'm going to talk about MHFA, which is down payment assistance. So a lot coming up for us here in this segment. Cheryl, I know that folks that maybe they have filed bankruptcy recently or have had a foreclosure, yet they want to buy a house, and you've employed the contract for deed, which I don't know that I fully understand. I mean, I know that you don't own the home, but it's kind of like renting to own, but it's, you know, you're going to end up with the deed. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are wondering, why in the heck does a real estate show have a bankruptcy attorney on it? And truthfully, there are so many professionals that all have to work together to make housing happen for you.
Right.
So you may have filed bankruptcy and you've gotten through that, and you're thinking that you want to buy a home, but you don't qualify. Rent is way too expensive, and you know you're not gaining any equity by forking out that money every month. And so we look for properties where you can buy on a contract for deed. So what happens is the seller actually acts as the bank, and you are making your payments directly to the seller. They may like to have a higher down payment for added security. Interest rate might be slightly higher than a conventional, but there's no mortgage insurance, so
Right.
you don't see a lot of difference in the monthly payment.
Plus, you still write off the interest, just
Absolutely.
Right.
The taxes go into your name, you get to write off the taxes, so you're dealing with that, you're paying your own insurance. You can make improvements to the property as long as the seller is okay with that. If you decide you want to sell the property and you've realized a gain of, let's say, 10 or 20%, you get to keep that money. That is your equity if you have a contract for deed. The one thing that's different than a conventional or FHA mortgage is there would be a balloon payment. And balloon payments can vary anywhere from 2 years. I just did a contract for deed last month on a 10-year balloon. That was actually a relative situation, which is also a good thing for investment. If you have a lot of cash and you have a family member who may have had some type of credit problem, you might want to think about buying a home and selling it to them on a contract for deed, and then you are gaining 5 or 6% interest.
And so you decide on a price
Exactly.
and a length of the term, say 5 years. So you'll have the contract for deed for at the end of 5 years. Presumably, the bankruptcy is far enough away, or the foreclosure, or your credit scores have come up enough, or any combination of those, such that you're able to refinance at that time, and that is what occurs when you get out of the contract for deed and pay off the seller entirely. It is a refinance because you've lived there. Benefit there is that there's no down payment. It's just a refinance. You simply
Right. And we've actually done several of those together. Over the past several years, I've done dozens and dozens of contract for deeds, and we get people in, they're enjoying owning their own home, and then as soon as they qualify, maybe it's 3 years after the bankruptcy, then I send them over to Eric. Eric refinances them, they get a lower rate.
Some people worry about eviction if they don't make payments or things like that. Tell us how that's different with the contract for deed.
Well, that's one of the advantages for a seller. With a traditional foreclosure, if it's FHA or conventional, a foreclosure can take 6 months to a year easily. And with a contract for deed, there's a 60-day cancellation period. So if the person, maybe they've put down $10,000 or more and they
Which-
default,
And the owner gets to keep
they
that.
get to keep that money and they get the property back and then they can resell it again.
So there's less risk to a seller really than, interesting, okay. And you may be wondering, how soon can I refinance, whether you've had a bankruptcy, a foreclosure, or a short sale. There's a lot of ambiguity, I guess. People hear a lot of things. I hear it, somebody said 2 years, somebody said 3 years. And we're going to make this pamphlet available, or flyer really, on realtalktwincities.com, where you can go to Eric the Loan Guy and get a hold of me and I can fill you in. So for conventional loans, if you've had a short sale, you need 4 years from that short sale in order to be able to purchase a home or refinance, but purchase. Bankruptcy, if you've had a bankruptcy, it's 4 years with a Chapter 7, 2 years with a Chapter 13, and reestablished credit. So in other words, you can't have filed bankruptcy and then started missing payments on things. You have to maintain credit after filing. So it's only 2 years with a Chapter 13. That's the one with the payments. Foreclosure for a conventional loan is 7 years. So that's pretty steep. Bell State Bank and Trust has a portfolio line where we don't sell the mortgages to Fannie and Freddie, so on our portfolio line, it's 2 years for a short sale or a foreclosure. FHA, short sale, 3 years. Bankruptcy, 2 years for a Chapter 7 and 2 years for a Chapter 13, so FHA is 2 years. 3 years for a foreclosure. VA loans, short sale, bankruptcy, and foreclosure are all 2 years with reestablished credit, and the lesser known rural housing or USDA loans are all 3, 3, and 3 for short sale, bankruptcy, and foreclosure. So you're probably just about as confused as when I started
Right.
giving you all of that data. So
That was way too much. Bottom line, they need to call
Yeah.
you and you will talk to them about their situation.
I will.
And give them the best program available.
And I'll-
if they're not ready for a real loan, I'll help them with the contract for deed.
fair enough. That
Perfect.
sounds good. That's right. Well, as you know, there's a lot of myths out there, and we're here to try to deliver some reality. It's time for myth versus reality. It's Cheryl's turn this week, and the myth is, hey, can I get a better deal if I just work with the listing agent? I can find the property online, no problem. I know where I want to live. I've been studying. I don't really need an agent. And then I can, they don't have to pay the buy-side agent, and I can get a better deal that way. That's kind of what I was thinking, Cheryl. That's my myth.
Well, I'll tell you the reality, Eric.
Okay.
It doesn't really work that way.
All right.
So the seller signs a contract with a listing agent, and there is a commission that goes to the listing broker and the listing agent. The listing agent gets to decide what is done with that, the agent and their broker. Typically, there is a split. So that commission is divided 4 ways. Usually there's 2 brokers and there's 2 agents. But if you approach that listing agent directly, the listing agent is normally allowed to keep all of the commission. So there is no guarantee that you are going to get any benefit financially by not working with your own agent. The other thing you don't know is how experienced is that agent? That agent is representing that seller,
Right.
trying to get as much as possible for that seller, and you want to have your own representation. It costs you no more to work with an experienced agent. So I would hope if you are thinking about buying a home that you would contact us at realtalktwincities.com. You can call or text 612-735-0553. That's 612-735-0553.
And if people call that number, are they going to be able to sell high and sell fast, Cheryl?
I'm going to make sure they can sell high and sell fast.
I don't know exactly what that means. I like the way it sounds. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
I started thinking about some of the reasons why somebody would want to hire us. And I've got a great team of agents that I work with, Donna Quanrud being one of them. And the thing that so many of you don't realize is that the average agent only sells about 7 homes a year. Now, You take a look at a 5-year period, that's only about 35 homes. There's not a whole lot of experience there. In the past 5 years, I've had over 500 sales myself. And I do anything ranging from under 100,000 to over 3 million. And by having an experienced agent, we've been involved in so many different transactions. I just completed one for a client that was actually a probate situation. They had dealt with many other agents before I came into the picture, and they hadn't even contacted a probate attorney yet. So got them through the probate, got the house listed. They wanted to sell it as is. We did that, and they wound up getting within $5,000 of their asking price. So it worked out great, and we've got the experience, we're available, and we want to help you buy or sell or refinance your next home.
That's right. RealTalkTwinCities.com. We're going to be back for our last segment, a little bit more about selling high and selling fast with Cheryl. She is truly an excellent listing agent or agent for anything you want to do. We're coming up with Ask the Expert on Mortgage Minute. We'll have a little bit of listing inventory. I'm going to talk about MHFA. You're wondering if down payment assistance is still available. The answer is yes. We'll have details on that coming up on AM 1280 The Patriot.